So on to episode 3 of Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities, or, for short, Guillermo del Toro's Cock. That's good, right?
COC?
Yeah. Cabinet of Curiosities. That's what this show should be called from now on. Del Toro's Cock.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what we're going to call it. All right, so this one runs 58 minutes. So the episodes kind of vary pretty wildly, because the first was 45, the next was 38, this one's 58, and the next one's an hour and 4. So, man, they just got totally different kinds. Right out the gate, this is directed by David Pryor, the director of The Empty Man, which I think is arguably the most underrated film of the last decade. I think it's fantastic. And it was completely slept on, so much so to the point where they didn't even release a disc. You know, they have nothing on this movie. And until Chris Stuckman did his review, I did mine first, way before his. And I was praising it. Thank God for him, though. He has way more subscribers than us, and that's fine. Get it out there. I'm so glad he praised this movie, and I'm so glad it got more eyes on it. But, you know, just as I said, right out the gate, this episode is fantastic. I mean, yes. Definitely the best episode of the show so far for me. Excellent stuff here. Wow, really impressive, and shouldn't be a surprise because David Pryor rules, and it was also written by David S. Goyer, who wrote, you know, the Dark Knight trilogy. He's written just so much stuff, but he even wrote the Blade trilogy, which, of course, the second Blade was directed by Guillermo del Toro. So, you know, that's the connection there for why they would be working together once again on this show. But, man, David Pryor kills it. And I'll tell you where he really kills it. He really kills it in his transition shots. The transition shots, the composition is impeccable. The way he transitions from one shot to the other, whether, you know, there's the shot of the skies which turns into the cave rock, or the hands and they turn into the trees, the same shape as the trees, and then and what, there's another one, but what'd you think?
No, I agree. I think the transition shots are really, really spectacular, and I was a very big fan of this episode. I don't know if it's my favorite, because I think that both of these episodes that we got are wonderful, and I was really into both of them for different reasons. But this one, it was so eerie and really scary, and the concept was just wonderful. It's one of my favorite things in horror to explore. It has a very cosmic horror vibe to it, very The Thing or Horror Express, and I love all of that. I think that that's really, really cool and very, very terrifying. And it was just beautifully shot. Everything felt, it has the same, it's not the same color grading, obviously, as the last two, but it's just like that dark, muted, gothic color scheme that works so well. And yeah, I was a big fan of it. I've loved, you know, every episode that we've gotten so far. I don't think that there's a bad episode yet. But these two, as of right now, I think are my favorite of the 4. It's really hard for me to pick between both of them. So
yeah, the other one just kind of speaks to you for sure.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed the hell out of it as well. But we'll get there when we get to that in the next one. Although I do think that one is going to get, you know, a lot of shit because it is more female centric and blah 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 because of, you know, freaking fragile
male
masculinity.
Male eagle. I sounded like I said male eagles.
Male eagles.
I think I did say male eagle.
all the male egos that tuned into the show
like
were
eagles?
just like, which is, you know,
cock.
Eagle for fun. What show did you hate? Cock.
What?
Guillermo del Toro's cock. What the hell?
I don't know.
You know what? You led me.
I led you.
So, we got F. Murray Abraham in here. Great to see him. Excellent actor. And we also got the biology teacher from Gremlins, which I was looking at him like, I know this dude. And like, as soon as I saw Gremlins, I'm like, oh, yes. I knew it. So anyways, we get this opening where the dude jumps on the lift as they're going down in the mines and jumps off, blows the place up. They bring in this guy to do an autopsy to see if it was a bomb or see whatever the hell it was. And this almost plays out a little bit like the autopsy of Jane Doe in a little bit. But just like, okay, the practical effects on the autopsy stuff is amazing and very, very reminiscent of the opening of Saw 4, where you have this uber realistic autopsies going on. But we get multiple here.
Yes.
I mean, in when they're dissecting Jigsaw's body or John Kramer's body at the beginning of Saw 4, like, that's just one body. We get to see it on multiple bodies in here.
And it's like they're using real organs.
Yeah, they're real.
They're real autopsies.
Pretty much.
They look
they're
insane.
Incredible. Absolutely remarkable.
Yeah.
It's wild, and to see someone flayed open like that is horror on its own. And the fact that some people just do that for a normal living.
Yeah, I was like
nuts.
really thinking about that. I mean, obviously.
We need them to do it.
We need them, yes, and like there's tons of other movies where there's morticians doing autopsies and stuff, but for some reason, well, I know why, for this episode, because it was so scary, I was really thinking about, like, you know, actual people doing that as a living, and it's very fascinating, because I'm like, a part of me thinks that it's sort of like the whole thing with surgeons, where it's like you want to just, like, cut people open on some level, but also I don't think that they're entirely, you know, doing it because of that.
Yeah. I had read once that they're going to start veering away from doing those, and that they're going to start, like, scanning the bodies, and that they're going to get, that there's actually, like, loss of evidence when they do it this way.
Yeah.
And that, like, when they can keep the body completely intact and do these different scans on the body, it'll actually show everything as is. And will give a much more accurate representation of what's going on inside the body. I'd read that a while ago, but and then, the hell do I know? But then all these pathologists would be like, the hell am I supposed to do? Well, I guess they read the readouts, right?
Yeah. But then in the future, too, when, like, everyone's, like, used to that, and they're like, can you believe what we used to do? Yeah. We used to cut bodies open.
Sure. I mean, bloodletting and all these things we used to do.
So crazy.
Yeah, it's wild. And that slavery thing, too, that we used to have in this country.
That thing.
Now we just export it over to other countries and try to act like heroes. Moving on.
I got dark.
But yeah, the body is being flayed open. There's no blood inside. And they're like real pinky white organs. This, you know, Kaylee mentioned Horror Express, which is one of my favorite monster movies of all time, which of course is based on the same book as The Thing, so that's why there's so many similarities between them, Antarctica and whatever. But the same thing happens in that movie where the brains are like, you know, like pinky and they're stripped of the wrinkles and whatnot. So yeah, the fact that it like feeds off of people's sternums and sucks the blood straight out of them, to the point where, like, even if you drain their blood and cut them open, there's still blood that comes out. This is like completely drained, right? Exorcist 3 style. And this episode, up until like the real cosmic stuff started to happen, the first like 30 minutes or so was very King to me, very Stephen King.
Yeah, you said that, and I agree. I think it felt that for sure. That
small town, and like the cop with the doctor, and they're sitting there and they're having the conversation and they're old buddies.
Yeah.
And all that, just, it felt like this was taking place in Castle Rock.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And just kept thinking it the whole time. the scene where the dude recognizes the dude in the bar.
Oh man.
And he like looks at him and it's very Horror Express where the eyes like, but this isn't red eyes, which I love the red eyes in Horror Express. But this was way more subtle.
It was creepy.
And it's just kind of this gleam, almost like when they film older people and they have that
like
weird,
cataracts,
that weird like look in their eye.
Yeah, or like how cats' eyes are reflective.
Yeah.
It was like that.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of Blade Runner too.
Sure.
It was that effect, but much not as like the amber gold color. It was paler.
Yeah.
And it was really scary. I was like pretty freaked out by that scene actually.
Yeah. If it was Mike Flanagan, they would have been completely white.
Yeah.
But no, this David
white.
David Pryor, like he got a really cool translucence to them. Super cool effect, and very creepy in the way he was controlling that other guy. Now, why this creature doesn't do this to the autopsy guy and control him, I don't know. Maybe he's just weak or whatever. Because he's like kind of fighting with him a bit, and when he's gonna transfer him over.
Oh, I see what you mean. For some reason, I was
so he
confused
doesn't
for a
really
second.
take control.
Yeah,
of the.
I think he is weak because he makes comments about how he like barely will have enough energy even after he transfers into the mortician or the what is his? He's not a really coroner. Yeah, that he won't even
pathologist.
He won't have that much energy after, so he'll have to feed again. Yeah, so I think that's why. I think that's the explanation.
Yeah,
he's not strong enough when he's at that point.
This is the third episode in a row where we've gotten tentacles coming out of someone's head, whether it's a statue, whether it's something down in a storage unit or whatever. A lot of tentacles going on in this show, 3 in a row, pretty wild. And the shot of the hair standing up on the back of the neck.
Oh man, so good.
That was super cool. And like the voice.
Yes.
Now, the voice that talks to him is what?
I don't know. I
don't understand that.
I don't know what the voice
was that his
is.
voice in his head? Or was that... Because it wasn't the thing talking through that guy's body.
Maybe it was the... What is his name? Sykes? Maybe it was him somehow, although I don't know how he would be able to communicate with him, but...
Yeah, I didn't get that part. I was kind of lost on that. I don't know.
Me too. But I love the shot, though. I thought it was...
To me, it was like his gut.
It might have been.
Telling him to get the hell out of there. Like, when the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, and your body, your gut's telling you, get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
It's almost like we just got to hear it.
Yeah. I think it could definitely have been that. It might have been his own voice.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Great scene, though.
Yeah, very cool, and I'm all for it. A lot of spiders in this episode as well, up in the lights and all that stuff, right? Like, very similar to how this thing kind of feeds on its prey. It lures people in and sucks them dry, like a spider does. And something I really like, a really cool character moment that I connected with, and I'm assuming that multiple coroners do this, but our coroner here, who's dying of cancer, stomach cancer, he apologizes to every body he cuts up before he does it.
Yeah.
Like, he explains to them why he has to do it, essentially, and apologizes for what he's doing. He's, like, desecrating their body and feels bad for it, but he's like, it's a necessary evil. So
yeah.
He just feels necessary to communicate with the dead. So he has a tremendous respect for the dead.
I loved that character moment.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you could easily just write out. It wouldn't change it a ton. But I don't know. It just makes the character more real. And the monster revealing itself, and then within the body still, and him giving himself an autopsy.
All of that
while sitting there
and
doing an exposition dump, and then kind of going back and forth on that. Was just one of the more wild things I've watched in a while. I've never seen someone give themselves an autopsy in order to release the demon inside.
It was so cool. Everything in the last like part of this episode was just, it was so scary with the way that he looked as the corpse crawling over to him, and just like the coroner backing away, and like all of that, it was shot so well, and it had so much like tension and suspense and horror in it. And I love that it is called the autopsy, and we're with this coroner, so we're like, oh, he's the one doing the autopsy. But for it to be the monster doing the autopsy on himself was very, very neat. And the effects, it was really just really well done. All of the effects on the autopsy and on like his decaying face, and there was certain like parts of his face that would kind of move in a really weird way. So I like that it was, like as the monster alien demon was losing energy, he was also not able to control those like fine muscles as much. And it just added that like uncanny valley effect even more. That was already there.
Yeah. The octopus creature looking thing
was
cool.
My gosh, it looked like a penis too. Like when his head came
Phallic.
out, it was very phallic looking.
The flayed body that they find in the woods with skin missing from it, and like guy's half of his face has been removed, is really, really wild. So incredible special effects throughout, practical or CGI or whatever the hell, the blending of the two. Fantastic stuff throughout. Freaking amazing. And then in a last ditch effort, as a big F you to this monster, the coroner does something to himself.
He deafens himself, and he slits his throat, and he blinds himself.
Yeah.
So he removes all of his senses, so that once the creature is inside of him, he will not be able to see or hear, and he is also slowly dying. And he leaves, the coroner writes with his own blood a message on his chest for his friend who's coming, which says, "Burn me and listen to the tape."
Sure, it catches him on tape. Now, the death thing I didn't really understand, because the guy he was in was dead. And that didn't seem to stop him at all. Mm-hmm. And,
So I think the reason it was working in this case was because he took over the guy while he was still alive, and then was eating other people. Like, he's sucking the blood from them. But he did not have enough energy so he was taking over this body. He needed him to still be alive so that he could then also go and eat more. Okay. So it's kind of like he was going into a prison.
So going into a dead body when he's in a weakened state, he's not able to control that body.
Yeah.
But if he goes into it while it's alive and gains enough energy, he can be killed and continue to keep going on beyond death with reserved energy.
That's how I took it.
Okay.
I really love the blending of like the parasite and vampire qualities of the creature too.
Sure.
Like all of that. It has a very body horror element to it, of course, and I thought it was really messed up that the creature kept all the people that he was killing aware that they were, dying. Yeah. Like he kept them in a state of awareness while all this stuff was happening. And
the whole communications showdown with them inside the coroner's mind in the end, and him kind of telling him he trapped him in there, and that reveal, and fantastic stuff, just absolutely fantastic. The creature like, "Let me out of here," that kind of stuff. Awesome.
Super cool.
Just super awesome. Love it. The reveal at the end of he's taped him, and that the friend is gonna take his word for it and burn him, and then we cut to the river. This has a very abrupt ending.
Yeah.
You think some of these would draw it on for a while. He burn his friend while he talks to somebody and whatever. No, this is like old school classic movie.
Yes.
Where it's like end, and
like it's done.
We're at the river. And of course, this has symbolism. This isn't just some river, right? This is the river that the coroner wanted to go to. He's like, how far is this river? And he's like, he's going to go there after, but he doesn't get to go there. Yeah. And not only is that symbolic for, his journey and his end, right? Because this is like, attached to his death, and his kind of his final wish. But I also kind of assume that's where his friend probably, dropped his ashes.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
even though we don't see it, it is cool. to end there with this kind of peaceful place where he wanted to go, and he's dead and he won, and we end on his serenity.
Yes, it was very peaceful and somber.
Beautiful stuff.
Very beautiful.
And speaking of body horror, we're going to move on to the next one. So awesome stuff. And we need to get to that so we can watch the next 2 episodes, which drop right now. So let's move on.
Bye.